Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Cryptids Deep Dive. In this series, we want to delve deeper into the mystery surrounding these remarkable creatures and legends, and hopefully shed some light on them for newcomers and veterans alike. In each episode, we'll be focusing on a specific cryptid or species of cryptid if there happens to be more than one. We'll be taking a look at where these creatures come from, how their tales originated, get a good idea of what they look like from physical descriptions, and finally, diving into some notable sightings. This week, we're tackling probably the most infamous cryptid to date, Bigfoot. What better way to kick things off than with Sasquatch himself? For those out of the loop, Bigfoot is a large, hairy, humanoid figure native to North America, and Canada according to some. As the name suggests, his feet are massive, leaving behind monstrous footprints for loggers and backpackers alike to find. While there are numerous reports and sightings, most footage or photos of Bigfoot tend to be very blurry, so it's difficult to get a look at him if you haven't seen him yourself. Due to this, there's controversy around the authenticity of said photos and video, and there are many who believe them to be faked. To get an idea of where his story originates, we need to take a step back for a second. You see, the idea of the wild man exists across the globe, this coming from Joshua Blue Bus, author of Bigfoot, The Life and Times of a Legend. Bigfoot himself being a subsect of these wild men. So, where does Bigfoot's story begin? It can all be traced back to 1958 with journalist Andrew Ghastly. Ghastly worked for Humboldt Times, and he came across a letter from a reader about loggers in Northern California who had discovered massive footprints. See where this is going? Thinking it was a bit of a fun read, Andrew decided it would make a good piece and wrote about it in a column. Surprisingly, or not so much knowing the nature of humans and their fascination with the unknown, it took off. Capitalizing on the popularity of the article, Ghastly and fellow journalist Betty Allen decided to draft some follow-up articles and revealed the name that loggers had given the strange and elusive creature that plagued their forest. What was that name? You guessed it. Bigfoot. Eventually, as all great legends do, the story took off, and this shy creature who wanted nothing more than to enjoy the peace and quiet of his forested home with his family, snacking on some beef jerky, was thrust into the spotlight. He was featured in newspapers across the country and even on television as the TV show Truth or Consequences offered a $1,000 reward for anyone who could prove his existence. He persisted through the 70s and 80s, first as a ferocious predator for adventures to slay and overcome in movies and TV shows, and then a gentle giant with a love for saving the environment. Even today, Bigfoot is an icon, appearing on TV and in print alike, the poster child for the strange and unknown, and the obsession of curious individuals the world over. The accounts of Bigfoot's physical description differ, but what remains consistent is that he is a large, hairy, human-like creature with seriously big feet. Sightings tend to place him somewhere between 6 to 15 feet tall, and is usually described as being bipedal, or walking on two legs. What's most curious about this creature's size, however, are the various reports of him moving silently. You would think for something that size, it would at least make a resounding thud when its feet hit the ground. Other reports have him emanating a high-pitched cry. As far as feet go, Bigfoot measures in at a whopping 24 inches, or 60 centimeters long, and 8 inches, or 20 centimeters wide. Arguably the most notable sighting is the Patterson-Gimlin film. Shot in 1967 in Northern California, the film shows a creature walking through the frame. According to the filmmakers, this is Bigfoot, or a female as they claim. Now known affectionately as Patty, the creature and film in question has become the point of many parodies and replications over the years in an attempt to debunk the footage. Though many have tried, it seems that, to this day, nobody has been able to replicate Patty's walk just right. Patterson, who died in 1972, carried to his deathbed the notion that the footage was genuine, and Gimlin denied ever being involved in a hoax with Patterson. Whether someone in a gorilla suit masquerading as the big guy, or girl in this case, or a genuine sighting, we'll probably never know. Next up is the Independence Day film. No, not the cult classic starring Will Smith or the sequel that followed years later. This footage was recorded on the 4th of July. While extremely shaky in some parts, we do get a very clear shot of Bigfoot. What I find most interesting about this footage is that you see the creature carrying a child. It gives credit to the fact that these numerous sightings may not all be the big guy himself, but maybe one of his cousins, sisters, or even his children. And many eagle-eyed viewers claim to notice the telltale sign of a gorilla suit while the figure is in view. Could this be a faked video created for the sole purpose of gaining internet notoriety and millions of views? Or is it simply a rare glimpse into the day-to-day life of a Bigfoot and their family matters? Finally, Pennsylvania, we have one more sighting of Bigfoot. This time, caught on a trail camera, we see a photo of bears resting comfortably in the woods. The second image shows something large and hairy next to the tree. It could easily be mistaken for a bear, what with the fur and being hunched over. However, if you notice the limbs, there seems to be an obvious ratio issue here. Stretched, like someone had been playing around with the liquefy tool in Photoshop, it seems to more adequately portray a bipedal creature bending down to forage for something. Notice the bend in the knees? Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure what's going on in the third picture. Perhaps Bigfoot is in the process of sitting down to rest. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bigfoot. Is it simply a legend that's trickled down through time, perpetrated by doctored images and cleverly edited videos? Or is this simply a creature whose large feet won't even be enough to fill the gargantuan shoes that we've lain before him, with all of our grandiose tales and pop culture stardom?
Why can't you go back where you came from?
That one's on you to decide. We just present the facts so that you have a better understanding of what these creatures may or may not be. Join us next time for another episode of Cryptids Deep Dive, where we tackle the mysteries and phenomena surrounding these remarkable creatures and legends.